after that? I suppose you can't.
I don't know. I don't think there's much left. If I fight again, then we'll know. If I don't, whatever. I might retire. This might be my final hurdle at the big show. Final countdown. Does it get any bigger than this? Is there anything else to prove? Anything to do? If I walked away today, I'm financially secure for my family and their kids, so there's not much more that I could do. I've won every belt there is to do, and it's just what more I could do is I could get brain damage if I wanted to continue, or I've got a lot to risk and not much more to gain. I could gain a few more zeros on my bank balance, but does that really help me? Do I really need that in my life? Not really. I suppose I could go into the movie business. I could do documentaries. I could become a sports analyst. I could become a pundit. I'd probably become a boxing trainer or a boxing manager or a boxing promoter. So
those are the words of Tyson the Gypsy King Fury. And as you heard him say, he doesn't really have much to gain, but more to lose. And he mentioned brain damage, CTE. That stuff is real, people. Okay. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about in this video. Now, I do disagree with Tyson Fury. I think it's a lot of things that he could do. There's a lot of fighters that he could fight. But I do agree. You keep fighting, okay? You keep fighting too long, you can end up with brain damage. You can. Those are the type of things, it's been tested by time. You look at boxers time and time again. James Kirkland, Evander Holyfield, James Toney, even Sugar Shane, I see he's kind of suffering from, getting punched too much. Fernando Vargas is another one, so it's a lot. It affects a lot of fighters, and those are not even the worst cases, okay? So what Tyson's saying is like, hey, is that worth me getting the zeros, for me taking brain damage? And I agree with the concept. I just don't see how that applies to Tyson Fury. Why? For one, Tyson Fury took 3 years off, bro. He took 3 years off of his career. I think he started in 08 to 18. That's 10 years, 14 years. I think he's been a pro. So you take 3 from that, that's like 11. And he was in some decent fights, but as far as Vladimir didn't touch him, for one. Wilder didn't hit him to the capacity that he would suffer brain damage, in my opinion, okay? Because Wilder didn't hit him a lot of times like that to receive that type of damage. You get that type of shit when you get Rocky Balboa'd. Like my uncle says, mollywopped too many times. Not saying Wilder didn't knock the shit out of him, because he did, but Wilder's the kind of guy, he's a concussive fighter, a puncher rather, but the type of punishment that really gets fighters in that condition are repetitive punches landed, okay? Repetitive. Not coming from a guy like Tyson Fury that has great defense, that knows how to protect himself at all times when it comes down to being in the squared circle, okay? So him saying, oh, well, I don't have anything to risk, or gain. I just have everything to risk. I don't believe that. I think, he's talking about money and he's secure. Wonderful. I think that's great. I think it's like, hey, I'm financially set. My kids and all that, they're done. They're set. So I have nothing else to prove. I could be a manager, promoter, trainer, etc. Right? Basically, me hearing Tyson Fury, this is what I hear from Tyson. I hear Tyson Fury, he has enough money, so he doesn't need that. And there's nothing for else. Because of that, there's really nothing for him to do. Like you heard him say, well, I could get him more zeros on my banking account, but is that worth my health? And it's a catch-22, because that's kind of true, because like if you keep fighting too long, that could happen to you. Like the examples that I named, but that doesn't apply to Tyson Fury. Okay, Tyson Fury hasn't had fights where you're like, damn, dude, Tyson took an ass beating. No. And he hasn't fought too long. He had a 3-year fucking break from partying and all that, and that probably did more harm than anything. Right? But I don't see Tyson Fury in that position based on his concerns of why he shouldn't or should stop fighting. Okay? There's always somebody to fight. Now, I agree. He shouldn't fight too long. He's only 33 years old, people. Okay, he's not 38. Okay, he's not 39 like Klitschko's age when he fought him, or 41 when Anthony Joshua fought him. You know, he's not 42. He's nowhere near that. He's 33 years old. Okay? So for him to say, oh man, I don't think there's nothing else for me to do. Yeah, it is. Joe Joyce. How about Usyk when he comes out of war? How about that shit? What about Anthony Joshua? Remember that big super fucking fight? Right? Those are 3 people right there he could fight. What about your sparring partner? Remember Ali fought his ugly sparring partner, Larry Holmes, right? That's another person. Andy Ruiz, the fill-in. You won't fight Joseph Parker, cool, which I can understand. He's a decorated honorary gypsy now. I get that. But I mean, I don't really would want to see that anyway. You're fighting Dillian White. So like, hey, White, Wilder, and Vladimir. That's your legacy. And you're saying, oh, well, I don't have anything else to prove. There's a lot of shit that he has to prove. Coming from inconsistency. Coming from the fact that, you know, you didn't fight the best and the top people. Okay, so him saying that, I have nothing else to prove, I beg to differ. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Tyson the Gypsy King Fury saying that there's nothing left after that. There's more risk than gain. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching. Peace.